introverts, extroverts, and all the people in between. Welcome to this lesson of the Future of Work Academy's Introduction to Developing Your EQ course. My name is Graham Codrington. There is some debate over the value of personality profiles, especially those that are fairly blunt instruments and create large big boxes in which to put people. And yet, we know for sure that profiling tools are valuable and are used in many important and valuable ways every single day. The most common of these profiles, and also possibly one of the more disputed, is the issue of introverts and extroverts. Firstly, let's be clear about our definitions. Being an introvert or an extrovert has nothing to do with confidence, likability, or friendliness. It's about where you get your energy from. Some people get their energy from being alone. Some people get energy by being with other people. Most of us sit somewhere on a continuum between these two extremes. In fact, one of my daughters, I have three daughters, and one of them is a confident introvert. She's pretty happy to be in crowds, to engage with people, no problem with strangers, but it uses up her energy. My middle daughter is a shy extrovert. She craves being with people, loves being in the crowd, in the mix where all the activity is happening, and yet she's shy. She is nervous of meeting new people, but gets her energy from doing it. So let's be clear about our definitions. It's not about your ability to connect and engage with other people. It's what energizes and saps your energy. So secondly, we need to understand that there is a continuum of extroverts to introverts. Very, very few people are extreme introverts or extreme extroverts. And so we need to be careful of labeling everybody either an introvert or an extrovert. Most people, in fact, have a mix of the two. We all like to be alone sometimes. We all like to be with other people at other times. Almost everyone is a combination of the two, with tendencies towards either more introversion or more extroversion at different times and for different reasons. Thirdly, we must be aware of the danger of a profile giving you permission to be dysfunctional. Now, this is the danger when we put people in a box and we say, this is what you are, and we label that box. Sometimes we give other people, we give ourselves the permission to act in dysfunctional ways. Well, if you think then that I'm going to be an introvert, well, then I'm just not going to speak to people. I'm just not going to engage. We need to be careful of stereotyping and using these stereotypes to restrict us in how we might live, operate, and interact with other people. Fourthly, and finally, we should understand our own unique combination of introversion and extroversion and know how we can get the best out of ourselves and our own energy profile. Fast Company magazine ran a series of articles of profiling tools and wrote an especially good one on this particular issue in February 2017 of the Fast Company magazine. It was based on the work of Harvard Business School behavioral scientist and author of Sidetracked, that's a great book, Sidetracked, Francesca Gino. In the online version of this lesson, in the text version in the Future of Work Academy, you can find a link to it and read the article and the summary that's attached. So please make sure you go to the Future of Work Academy and look at some of the additional resources that go alongside this lesson. The most important issue in managing your own energy is to know yourself. I mean, this might sound obvious, but many people don't fully understand what drains them and what energizes them. And even those who do know this about themselves often don't apply that knowledge to help them manage their energy through the course of a day or a week. By knowing your own profile, you can then play to your strengths, making sure that you keep your energy levels healthy. That doesn't mean you only do things that give you energy. Of course, we do things that use up our energy as well. And so it's a case of getting the mixture of the two. If you need energy, you've got to build up the energy reserves in order to use it. You need to be able to plan ahead to ensure that you have ways to recover your energy after you have been in a situation that uses it up, for example. We can all access parts of the introvert and extrovert spectrum, but we need to learn which of these is easy and which of these is hard for us. Those who are on more of an extreme of one of these scales are going to find it more difficult to access the other side of the scale, whereas those who are what is called ambiverts, who find themselves in the middle, will find it a lot easier to be either introverted or extroverted. We need to know which uses up our energy and which restores it again. And as with most things in life, balance is the best outcome to aim for. Brian Little wrote a fantastic book called Who Are You Really? The Surprising Puzzle of Personality. I found this book incredibly helpful to me in trying to make sense of this issue of introvert, extrovert, and personalities. He argues that we do indeed fit into these personality frameworks, even if there is a little bit of controversy around them and some people use them badly. But that more important than the personality profile itself is what he calls our life projects. The things that we are passionate about help us to overcome some of the limitations of our inherent personality traits. I very much relate to his superb TED Talk. And please, again, go to the Future of Work Academy, the text-based version of this lesson, to get the direct link, or just search for TED Talk Brian Little. You see, I too am an extreme introvert, as Brian Little is and explains in his talk. I have a passion to tell people information that will change their lives, just like Brian does. This means that I have learned ways to overcome my desire to be alone and not engage other people, and my desire to conserve energy when I'm with other people. I, just like Brian, want to be in front of people, to connect with people, to share information and insights with them. But I must be mindful of the energy that this takes out of me and ensure that I build into my day and into my week and into my month times to recover. For me, that means being alone and being allowed to not think. I kind of think and allow people to access my brain for a living. So I've got to have times when I can just sort of shut myself off completely. Personally, I use computer games to help me regain my energy. They provide a mindless escape and give me alone time. I'm not hugely into collaborative games as it happens. But to be a better leader, you should also take time to learn the profiles, not just of yourself, but of each member of your team. We need to sometimes tone down the extroverts in our team, give the introverts time and space to make a contribution. And you might need to spend more time one-on-one with introverts to get the best out of them. Often, office life is often set up to favor the extroverts, and leaders need to make sure that this doesn't weaken your team or weaken certain individuals within your team. So, if this makes sense to you, there's a little bit of work for you to do. I'd highly recommend watching that TED Talk, possibly reading that book, and reading up more about the profiles of introverts and extroverts. If you just do a Google search for how to get the best out of an introvert or how to get the best out of an extrovert, you'll find some excellent resources. These are good for yourself. They are good to share with your boss and your team, and they're good for you if you are a leader with a team. But let me ask a few questions of you as we finish. And you're listening to the audio or watching the video here. So this is going to go through too quickly for you. Please go to the text version of the site, download these questions and spend some time, maybe even a day, thinking about each of these questions. So maybe this lesson lasts you the rest of this week as you take these questions quite seriously. Here are my questions for you. The first is, are you more introverted or more extroverted? And what difference does that make? So this requires you to go and do a little bit of research to look at the different profiles. If you're not entirely clear immediately, make some effort to go and find out, and then find out what does it mean. And if there's some things that you should do to help you in your profile, you discover you're an introvert, and now you understand what that means, and you get some suggestions for how to get the most out of an introvert, well, try them. See what happens. Are you more introverted or more extroverted? Second question, where and when do you feel your energy being drained from you? Now, introverts will feel it in one way, extroverts will feel it in another way. Here's a suggestion. Keep a journal for the next week. So the next 7 days, keep a journal of everything that happens to you during the day. You don't have to write down the things that happened. It's not a diary, that someone will read later. But when you've done something today and tomorrow and the next day, after each activity, after each thing that you do, whether it's a meeting or you go to lunch or you go to gym or you sit down quietly and just do nothing, just record what you did and how it made you feel, especially from an energy perspective. Did you feel that you were energized by doing it, or did you feel that somehow your energy was drained by doing it? Don't overanalyze what energy means and a definition. This is just for you. How did you feel? Did you feel drained or energized? Or maybe nothing. Nothing happened to you. But keep a record of that, recording what happens. And then a week from now, analyze this and look for patterns. You might be surprised. For some people, there's no pattern, they can't really see anything, but many people can see these are the sorts of activities that drain me. These are the sorts of activities that energize me. And then when you analyze this over the period of a week, you can see where you've been more drained or more energized. Don't you love this picture? If you're just listening to me and you're not watching your screen, quickly have a look at your screen. I love this picture. Please disturb, turn the volume up, don't mute things. I'm an extrovert. I want to work in a way that there's lots of volume, lots of people, lots of interaction around me. So when you're looking at this journal of yours, the third thing to do is to pay attention to energy. Okay, so as you're looking at your journal, pay attention to where you feel your energy being renewed or recharged in particular. So how do you go about rejuvenating yourself? And this will include everything from sleeping and eating to exercise, to being alone, to being with other people, but specifically pay attention to where you get your energy. Now, extroverts, volume will be up, mute will be off, and you'll be interacting with other people. Introverts, it'll probably be the opposite. Now you'll be able to analyze this diary completely of yours, this journal, and particularly have a look at the balance of your energy. You want to try and work out what's draining you, and if too many things that are sucking energy and draining from you are happening in a row with no chance to recover, you need to do something about that. Now, the introvert, again, the picture on the screen, the introvert will want to get out of the fishbowl and go into some private space to recover. The extrovert might want to do something else. Whichever way around it is for you, look at where the energy peaks and especially the energy troughs are, and try and balance that out just a little bit more. Now, of course, you probably want to do the same analysis with your family, your friends, your colleagues, and then share the results with each other. In fact, if you've got a few people who will do this exercise alongside you, then you can all get together next week and ask the question, what does it really mean to be an extrovert or an introvert? And how do we structure our lives, our days, our weeks in order to make sense of that information? So look, we've only made a very small start here. There's a lot more work for you to do. Go and do some more reading, go and do some more research, begin to understand yourself. But realize this management of energy is absolutely essential for emotional health, for well-being, and for the basis of everything else that we're going to try and teach you at the Future of Work Academy. If you're in a mess as a human being, you're not really going to be able to develop your skills for the future. And this understanding of where I get my energy from, what fills me up and what drains me out, well, this is an absolutely essential starting point. We're going to have a look at other issues related to personality and EQ all the way through this course. So stick with us. This is just a start, but you've got some great things to go and do. You've got a journal to fill out for the next week, and you've got some lovely self-discovery to go through. I hope you enjoy it. We'll see you in the rest of the course soon.